Significant weather developments right across Australia, a tropical low developing in the Coral Sea, severe thunderstorms across Queensland, heavy rain that's already broken records, and a cool change that has brought relief to the southern states after relentless heat. I've examined the latest data from the Bureau of Meteorology, looked at the current model runs, and there's a fair bit to cover. Some areas are dealing with flooding, others are finally getting the rain they have been waiting for, and there's potential for this to intensify over the coming days. Right now, the temperature contrast across the country tells the story. Up in far north Queensland, it's been hot and humid all week. Mount Carbine sitting at 27 degrees at 9:30 this morning with 95% humidity. That is uncomfortable conditions with steady rain and big drops coming down. Central Queensland copped an absolute drenching. Barcaldine finally saw 50 millimetres overnight. Claremont broken its rainfall record going back to 1916. That is over a century of records, and this system pushed past it. Gladstone recorded 79 millimetres in gauges overnight. The Calliope River at moderate flooding. This is significant rainfall. Compare that to what happening down south. Southern states have seen that cool change push through. Temperatures dropped dramatically. Some areas in the Southland hit 10 degrees. Tasmania saw -2 this morning with frost across parts of the state. That is the kind of temperature spread we're reworking with right now. Brisbane been interesting. Clouds to the left, clouds to the right, but stuck in the middle with nothing, just cloud cover and humidity with no actual rain. Meanwhile, the Gold Coast saw scattered showers this morning, overcast conditions, 28 degrees, low of 18. Not the relief some were hoping for, but better than the heat we had. Out west in South Australia, conditions have been brutal. The riverina around Wagga Wagga is desperate for rain. It's been dry and hot. They need decent rainfall, and they're not getting it from this system. So what is driving all this? What is the meteorology behind these contrasts? And more importantly, where does this head over the next week? Let us start with the main player. There is a tropical low developing in the Coral Sea. This system has been on the Bureau's radar for several days. The latest analysis shows it organising. Low-level circulation is tightening. Sea surface temperatures in the Coral Sea are warm enough to support further development. We're re-looking at 28 to 29 degrees Celsius. That more than adequate. The GFS model and the Access model both show this low intensifying over the next 48 to 72 hours. There is some divergence on the exact track, which I'll get to, but both agree on strengthening. The European model is slightly more aggressive with the intensification timeline. Now, there's discussion in the Australian media about ex-tropical cyclone Koji potentially reforming. The remnants of Koji have been lingering in the Coral Sea. Warm water, favourable upper-level conditions. It is possible this low could redevelop into a named system. The Bureau hasn't issued a cyclone watch yet, but they're re-monitoring it closely. Here is what we know with confidence. Whether this becomes Koji again or remains a tropical low, it is going to impact the Queensland coast. Heavy rainfall is the primary concern. Damaging wind gusts possible, rough seas and dangerous surf conditions along exposed beaches. The models show this system tracking generally west to southwest over the next few days. That brings it closer to the coast. The GFS has it making landfall somewhere between Townsville and Mackay by late week. The Access model keeps it slightly further offshore but close enough for significant impacts. The European model splits the difference. Track uncertainty at this range is still considerable. We're talking about potential shifts of 100 to 200 kilometres in either direction. That makes a massive difference for who cops the worst of it. Coastal communities from Cairns down to the Sunshine Coast need to stay updated on the latest forecasts. Rainfall totals are where this gets serious. The models are showing widespread falls of 100 to 200 millimetres across coastal and adjacent inland areas. Some localised areas could see 300 millimetres or more if we get training thunderstorms. That where storms repeatedly move over the same area. Central Queensland has already seen heavy rain from the existing moisture. Adding another system on top of saturated catchments increases flood risk. The Fitzroy River, the Burnett River, the Mary River, these are all worth watching over the coming days. Minor to moderate flooding is possible. Major flooding can be ruled out if we see the upper end of rainfall predictions. Now there's another complication. The Bureau is monitoring a separate low-pressure system off Cape Moreton. This is closer to Brisbane. It's weaker than the Coral Sea system, but it is adding instability to southeast Queensland. The interaction between these two systems could enhance rainfall, or they could interfere with each other and reduce impacts. It's one of those situations where we need to watch how it unfolds. There is also mention of another potential low forming off the far north tropical coast. That S3 separate systems in play across Queensland waters. This is active tropical weather. It is not unusual for this time of year, but it is worth paying attention to. Severe thunderstorms are the immediate threat across parts of Queensland. The Bureau has issued severe thunderstorm warnings for several districts. Damaging winds, large hail possible, heavy rainfall leading to flash flooding. If you're in an affected area, you know the drill. Secure loose items around the property. Move vehicles under cover if you can. Stay indoors during the storm. For those in low-lying or flood-prone areas, this is the time to review your plans. If it's flooded, forget it. That is the SES message, and it is spot on. Never drive through floodwater. You can see what S underneath. Roads can be washed away. Currents are stronger than they look. Stock up on essentials before the weather deteriorates. Bread, milk, tinned goods, batteries, torches. Make sure your phone is charged. Have a battery pack ready. If the power goes out, you'll want communication. Check on elderly neighbours and mates, especially those in isolated areas. This kind of weather can cut off communities quickly. A phone call to check they are sorted can make a big difference. For those with livestock, make sure animals have access to high ground and shelter. Flood waters rise faster than you do think. Move stock early if you're in a risk area. Let's talk about the southern states. That cool change has been welcome relief after the heat. Victoria, South Australia, Tasmania, southern New South Wales, temperatures have dropped 10 to 15 degrees in some areas compared to earlier in the week. The southerly buster that moved through brought that Antarctic air mass with it. But here's the thing. The cool change has brought temperature relief, but not much rain for most areas. A few showers along the coast, some isolated falls in elevated areas, but nothing substantial for drought-affected regions. Melbourne has been sitting pretty at around 24 to 25 degrees, comfortable conditions, low humidity. After the heat earlier in the week, that has been appreciated, but the dams are still low, the gardens are still struggling. Victoria needs decent rain, and this system isn't delivering it. Tasmania has seen the coldest air, overnight minimums below zero in some areas, frost across the northern suburbs of Hobart. If you are in Tassie and you've been enjoying the dry, warm patch, that is ending. Cooler, wetter conditions move in later this week as another front approaches from the Southern Ocean. South Australia, particularly around Adelaide, has had near perfect weather, 24 degrees and sunny, while everyone else either bakes or freezes. SA has been the sweet spot. That 1T last. By the weekend, cloud increases and temperatures drop as the next system moves through. New South Wales is split. The south coast and southern tablelands saw that cool change. Canberra dropped from the low 30s to the high teens. That's a significant change. Sydney S waiting for rain. The catchments need it. This current setup isn't delivering for Sydney. Later next week, there is potential for coastal showers as an easterly change develops, but confidence is low on amounts. Western Australia is bone dry. 3 months with bugger all rain across much of the state. Perth has had perfect weather if you like sunshine, but the gardens are suffering. The dams are getting low. There's a weak front approaching late this week that might bring some showers to the southwest, but it's not a drought breaker. Now let's look at what happens over the next 7 days. This is where the uncertainty increases, but I'll give you the most likely scenario based on current data. Tuesday through Wednesday, the Coral Sea low continues to organise. It tracks generally westward. Coastal Queensland from Townsville to the Sunshine Coast sees increasing rainfall. Thunderstorm activity increases. Winds pick up, particularly along exposed coasts. Seas build to 3 to 4 metres. Small craft should remain in port Thursday through Friday. This is when the low potentially makes its closest approach to the coast or makes landfall. The exact location is still uncertain, but somewhere between Mackay and Bundaberg looks most likely based on current model consensus. Heavy rainfall spreads inland, wind gusts to 80, possibly 100 kilometres per hour near the centre, damaging winds to coastal communities. Flooding becomes a more significant concern by Friday. Rivers that are already high will continue to rise, flash flooding from intense thunderstorms embedded in the rain bands. The Bureau will issue flood warnings as the situation develops. Monitor their website and app for updates. Saturday through Sunday, the low weakens as it moves inland or south along the coast. Rainfall eases but doesn't stop completely. Floodwaters take time to recede. Some roads will remain cut. Communities could be isolated for several days. This is when the cleanup begins, but hazards remain. Southern states during this period stay cool. Another front moves through on Friday, bringing showers to Victoria and Tasmania. Nothing heavy, maybe 10 to 20 millimetres in Western Victoria. The Alps could see snow down to 1,500 metres. If you're heading up that way, be prepared for winter conditions. Looking further ahead into next week, early indications show the potential for another low to develop in the Coral Sea or off the northern New South Wales coast. The pattern is staying active. That the La Nina influence, we re in a wetter than average phase. More systems, more rainfall. For some areas, that welcome. For others, already dealing with floods, it a concern. Let me address something important. UV lived through Cyclone Tracy, Cyclone Larry, Cyclone Yassi, the 2011 Queensland floods, black summer bushfires. You know what serious weather looks like? This system deserves attention, but let us keep it in perspective. This is not Cyclone Yassi. That was a Category 5 monster. 285 km/h winds near the centre. Communities destroyed. This current system, even if it becomes a named cyclone, is tracking to be Category 1 or 2 at most. Significant? Yes. Catastrophic? No. This is not the 2011 floods. Those were generational. Toowoomba, Brisbane underwater, 78 centimetre rainfall in the Lockyer Valley, 35 deaths. This system has flood potential, but we're not seeing the same catchment saturation or rainfall intensity projections. What this is a significant weather event that requires preparation and respect. Don't panic, but don't underestimate it either. The Australian media sometimes sensationalises these things, other times they downplay them. Ignore the noise. Focus on official Bureau of Meteorology warnings and your local emergency services. For those in the firing line, practical steps matter. I mentioned some earlier, but let us be specific. If you are in a cyclone or severe weather warning area and you have loose items around the property, secure them now. Trampolines, outdoor furniture, tools, wheelie bins. In strong winds, these become projectiles. Tie them down or bring them inside. Check your roof for loose tiles or sheeting. Cyclone season is not the time to discover your roof needs repairs. If you can to check it safely yourself, get someone who can. Clear your gutters and downpipes. Heavy rain with blocked drainage leads to roof leaks and flooding around the house foundation. If you live in a caravan or temporary structure, relocate to solid shelter before the system arrives. Caravans don't handle strong winds, it's not worth the risk. Have your emergency kit ready, first aid supplies, prescription medications, important documents in a waterproof container. Cash, because EFTPOS goes down when power is out, battery-powered radio, charged phone and battery packs. Fill your vehicle with fuel before the weather hits. Service stations close when power fails or flooding cuts access. If you on tank water, fill extra containers. If you on town water and there is flood risk, fill the bathtub. Gives you water for drinking, cooking and flushing if supply is interrupted. For those not in the direct path but in adjacent areas, stay informed. Weather systems can shift. A 100-kilometre change in track puts different communities at risk. Check the Bureau website twice a day minimum, morning and evening, more often as the system approaches. If you have mates or family in affected areas, check in with them, offer help if they need it. This is when community matters. Now, there's been discussion about Bribie Island and the dredging work to shore up the north end. $20 million spent so far. This system will test that infrastructure. Whether it holds or gets washed away again, we'll find out. The mainland suburb in the firing line, if Bribie gets breached, is Pelican Waters. Bit ironic, that name. For aviation, this system will impact flights. Brisbane, Townsville, Cairns. Expect delays and cancellations from Wednesday through Saturday. If you are flying to or from Queensland, build in buffer time. Check with your airline before heading to the airport. For marine users, this is a stay-in-port situation. Seas are already building. By midweek, we're re-looking at 4 to 5 metre seas in the Coral Sea, 6 metres possible near the low centre, winds to gale force, small craft warnings and strong wind warnings will be current. If you're replanning to head out to Vanuatu or anywhere in that region, postpone it. Not worth the risk. Surf conditions along the Queensland coast will be dangerous. Large swells, strong rip currents, beach erosion. This is not the time for a swim. Even experienced swimmers should stay out. The conditions can change rapidly. For those in fire-affected areas from recent bushfires, heavy rain on burnt ground causes different problems. Ash and debris wash into waterways. Erosion increases because there is no vegetation to hold the soil. Landslips possible on steep burnt slopes. If you're near recently burnt areas and heavy rain is forecast, be aware of these secondary hazards. One more thing about the longer-term pattern. We're seeing an active Madden-Julian oscillation moving through the region. That enhancing convection across northern Australia and the surrounding waters. Combined with La Nina conditions, we in a period where tropical lows and potential cyclones are more likely. This one to be the last system this season. Prepare for an active summer. The southern annular mode is currently neutral, which means we're not seeing strong blocking patterns in the Southern Ocean. That allows fronts to move through regularly, but they not particularly strong or moisture laden. That's why southern states are getting temperature relief but not decent rain. For southeast Queensland and northern New South Wales, the next 2 weeks look unsettled. Showers and thunderstorms on multiple days. Humid conditions, not a constant deluge, but regular rainfall keeping things wet. If you've got outdoor plans, have a backup. If you're redoing maintenance work, do it now before conditions deteriorate further. The tropics stay active through late January and into February. That peak cyclone season, Darwin and the top end will see the monsoon establish more firmly. Regular afternoon storms, high humidity, 35-degree days. That just summer up there, but worth noting for those not used to it. Check the Bureau of Meteorology website for the latest warnings and forecasts. They update multiple times per day as new data comes in. The app is solid too. Push notifications for warnings in your area. If you are on social media, follow your state emergency service. They provide real-time updates during events, useful information on road closures, evacuation orders, and where to get help. Stay safe, look after your mates, don't take unnecessary risks. Weather like this tests preparation and community. You've been through worse, but that doesn't mean this isn't serious. Respect the system, follow official advice.